All right, welcome back to the First Ladies. I believe this is part 5, and we're going to look at the years 1869 to 1897. So we have another interesting cast of characters, some of them obvious, some of them not so obvious, some of them you may not even be sure of. So we're going to cover about 8 people in today's video just to help finish up the 1800s, and also this person, Frances Cleveland, was First Lady 2 different times. As usual, some of these people were the wives, the alleged wives, and some of these people were the alleged daughters or sisters even. We're going to see a few sisters, quote-unquote sisters. They may have been twisted sisters. So let's start out today's video with Julia Boggs Dent Grant. You got to have lots of names if you're in the elite, in the ruling class. Alleged wife of Ulysses S. Grant from the Civil War era. Rather masculine looking face. Looks like kind of a serious person. Covering up the neck, as we've seen many times. One of the first things they're told when they enter the White House, they say, hey, you got to cover up the neck. All they got to do is stuff the bra a little bit, and those breasts are actually too high on the body, so those are not real breasts. Wide shoulders, masculine demeanor in the face, isn't it, right? Is that a man or a woman? See, people just think they're ugly women. No, they're not ugly women. They're ugly men, I guess. Here with the demon babies. Covering up the neck, strange haircut. This is the first lady to visit China. This one almost has kind of a Chinese look. And we're going to see, especially in today's video, these people don't look like white people. You know what I mean? Like they look like they're from a different ethnicity. I thought all these people were white, but I don't think they are. We're going to see it more obvious later on. You can see there on the bottom it says they were referred to as the American King and Queen. It almost looks like a Chinese dude. I don't know. Where is this person from? I think they're all kind of from the Levant. They might be Babylonians, actually. We'll see it more clearly later on. So I think that's a man. But see how they had these dresses, right? That would flare out at the bottom, and there's some kind of infrastructure inside of those. Those are not the hips that make it look that wide, obviously. All right, moving on to Lucy Ware Hayes, wife of Rutherford B. Hayes. And this one, I think, be a man. See, it's not going to be obvious to people who only look at the surface of things and don't question the reality. Again, covering up the neck, strange hairstyle. Oh, yeah. See, there's quite obvious. I mean, to me, at least, that's obviously a man. It just never occurred to people to question these things, right? Nobody questions. Nobody asks the questions. Nobody looks. Nobody thinks. Things might be different than what we've been told. It's their religion. Why do people get circumcised? Why do people put rings around their neck? Why do people put things in their ears or their noses? Why do people eat wafers and drink wine and grape juice? Why are these people androgynous? Well, it's their religions. They believe it's what they got to do to be in covenant with their spirits and their gods, and even to become gods, mainly. You got the fake wide hips on the bottom with that dress, right? Yeah, that's like and again, doesn't look like a white person to me. And the reason I talk about race is because it is part of forensic anthropology. It is good to know where these people are from, because people do have slightly different bone structure in different parts of the world. All right, so moving on to Lucretia Rudolph. Oh, Rudolph! A male middle name, again. See, this one, most people would just look, oh yeah, that looks like my Aunt Gladys. You know, so most people are not going to question it. Now, this one, again, we see that finger pointing down. I've seen that about 3 or 4 times now, looking at these photos of first ladies. And you see it today. They still do it, right? They do that finger pointing down pose. That's got to be intentional because you see it all the time. And what does it mean? We can talk about that later. But look at the skull. So is that a masculine-looking woman? Or is that actually kind of a feminine-looking man, I guess you could say? Or is it something in between, right? Covering up the neck, again, strange hairstyle. Ooh, yeah, getting a little closer now. It looks like a feminine-looking man to me. You know what I mean? The brow bone. Or when it's younger, it looks a lot more feminine. Is it all just a disguise? You know what I mean? Is that a man or a woman? Pretty angular face you got there, right? Look at the jaw, the bone structure, the brow bone. That's a masculine-looking face. Now even the painting looks even more masculine. Like they should have feminized the painting more. So I think they're kind of proud of their androgyny. You know what I mean? They're proud of it. They are the ruling class. They're different than us. We are the plebeian masses. We are the cattle, the farm animals, the slaves. Mary Arthur. Oh, there it is again. Another male middle name. Why is your middle name Arthur? Now, maybe people did that back then. Have to investigate further. Now, this was the sister. We're going to see a few sisters, a few twisted sisters today. Hostess acting as first lady, a drag queen. It's like, see, a lot of these first ladies were not the wives or the alleged wives. So why did they have to have a first lady? Like they could have just said, oh, well, I guess we don't have a first lady this time. It's like they always had to have a first lady. Why? Because it's a ritual function for their cult. The androgyne has a ritual purpose there to please the gods, to channel the gods, to become the gods. The government works for the demons, and they work with the demons. And I think the demons are actually deceiving them quite often as well. So that's another dude, I believe. Neck covering again, by the way. Now here's an interesting one. Rose, every rose has a thorn. Rose Cleveland, another sister. All right, we got two twisted sisters in a row. We're not going to take it. And the official story, as they do, lesbian. I think what happened is that people started to ask a few questions and started saying, hey, how come that dude looks like a lady? So good cover story for the androgyne. Oh, it's a lesbian. That's why it looks like a man. That's the narrative we're going to run with. See, some men do look a little bit feminine if you think about it, right? Now, I'm not going to say this looks feminine, but you know, it doesn't have a huge beard or anything. It's a feminized man, as they did back then. I don't even think this person has breasts, right? Are there female breasts there? I don't think so. And look at those bony, broad shoulders. Not massive, but relative to the rest of the body. The corset just squeezes in their waist, and then they flare out the dress on the bottom. So I guess that's the same person when it was a little fatter at some point. And here you got the angel wings, right? A little androgyne. But here it's got the, see, I think what happened is they fattened this one up. They tried a few different strategies. They're like, well, it's too obvious. It's obviously a man, so let's try to fatten it up. And they did that later on. And then they said, well, let's just say it's a lesbian, which kind of means it was heterosexual, if you think about it. All right, now here's Frank, Francis Folsom Cleveland, otherwise known as Frank. And I'm not kidding about that, all right? People think I'm making this stuff up. We're going to see that this person's name was Frank. Look at that. Look at what it says right there. Francis Clara Cleveland Preston on the top. Born Frank Clara Folsom. Frank. Then it says below, early life, first given the name Frank. Why would you name your daughter Frank? Who does that? No, it was born a son. It was a boy. It is a boy. And then they just feminized it, all right? It's like circumcision, but it's androgyny. They don't stop with circumcision. They just keep going and feminize the whole damn thing. Now, this person looks Persian to me. That ain't no white person. Now, it could be Jewish. It could be Babylonian, right? Because the Persians came in, conquered the entire ancient world, basically, before Greece did, after Babylon, right? So it was Babylon, and then Persia, the Persian Empire, was massive. And I think these people, they trace their bloodlines back to the ruling elite of the Babylonians, the Persians, the Egyptians, the Assyrians, the Zidonians, the Phoenicians, the Greeks, the Romans, whatever. These are the ancient ruling bloodlines That ain't no white person. There's no way I could be related to this person. That's like an Egyptian or a Persian, Middle Eastern, Jewish, whatever, a Canaanite, a Babylonian, whatever it is. It ain't what they told us it was. And what's with the little sun god thing on the neck? You know what I'm saying? Covering up the neck with your little sun god, star of Remphan. Symbolism there, right? The star of Remphan, the star of the gods or the goddess who they serve as the little cosmic androgyne. That's a little Persian boy. That's what that is. And this person was 21 years old when he became First Lady, married a 49-year-old President Grover Cleveland. While he was president, a 49-year-old man married a 21-year-old boy. All right? Proud to be an American. And yes, he was a Democrat, but we're going to see it doesn't matter if they're Democrats or Republicans or independents or left or right or up or down. There's always something in between. And there's the daughter of Grover and Frank Cleveland, Esther Cleveland. A real beauty. I think that one's ready to join Twisted Sister and Poison on the reunion tour. Look at those broad shoulders. But you could almost imagine it having facial hair in this photo, right? It would be like, yeah, if it had a little mustache and a beard. Look at that cleft chin. The whole face looks masculine. And then you got the shoulders are masculine, right? It's got the corset pulling in the waist, right? Quite a bit. The corset on that dress, this person cannot breathe. It's got the collar around the neck, and it's got the feminine dress with the corset and then the fake hips, right? There's stuff inside the dress that flares the hips out. That's how they did it back then. Look at that. Right there, that's just a flat-out corset. And they just stuffed the chest with something, right? These people were not getting surgery back then. It was makeup, hair, clothes, corset. We can see the corset pulling in the waist. Man, and you got the long arms and doing some kind of weird Angela Merkel sign. These people are from the ancient bloodlines, and they practice the mystery religions, right? The ancient mystery religions dating back before the flood. Before the flood. It predates Egypt, Greece, Rome, all that stuff, even Babylon, even Persia. This is the most ancient religion in the world besides Yahwism. Adam and Eve dropped the ball, and these guys took over. Look at those shoulders, right? What's the deal with your shoulders? See, on a real woman, the hips are kind of the center of balance. And on a man, it's the shoulders. And then they got the fake hips. That's their version of the fake hips back then, those dresses that flare out. Here we got Caroline Lavina Scott. Harrison, you got to throw in the male middle name, Scott. Now, it could have been the person's maiden name, but either way, they like to keep that in there. Again, shoulders, trying to cover it up with that weird dress, the fake hips flaring out from the dress. Now, some people would say, well, you know, older women don't look as feminine as they used to. That is true, right, with some people. But again, you got the neck covering there. You do have a very masculine-looking face there. You know what I'm saying? And conversely, older men don't look as masculine sometimes, right? So is this an older man, a feminized older man wearing a dress and makeup? Or is that an older woman who looks more masculine? You'll have to decide for yourself, I guess. If you just kind of stare into that face long enough, and you can kind of see the man, I think. I think you can see the man. In fact, it's quite obvious in this photo to me. A little bit pudgy. And what's with the crescent moon on your neck? See, these are the Persians or something, right? These people are from the ancient Near East bloodlines, and they're keeping the traditions alive, the mystery religions, wearing their little priest outfit, their eunuch priest, transvestite. These are the Kadesh, all right? These are the transvestite priests of the mystery schools. That's a dude, all right? It's an older man, and they kind of curl up the hair a little bit. Wow. I mean, people must have noticed this. People inside the cult, they all know about this. And now that person died while the president was in office, while President Harrison was in office, and then See, they could have just said, well, the first lady died, we don't have one now. But no, the daughter stepped in then, right? And became first lady. Why do they always have to have a first lady? I think there was one time they didn't have one for a while. And is that the daughter, or is that really the son? Right? Some pretty feminine clothing you got there, but what about the actual person? What's the deal with that face? And again, it looks like a Persian boy or some kind of Middle Eastern boy. You know, a Babylonian, Jewish, I don't know exactly, Egyptian. I mean, what's the deal with these people? Who are these people? Maybe they're Nephilim. Maybe they're fallen angels. You know what I mean? They're aliens. Alien just means foreigner. They could be aliens from a different country or aliens from a different realm. So to me, that looks like another boy. So again, that one, you got the shoulders and the fake hips on the dress and the little demon baby. And again, there you go, right? Kind of an angelic kind of pose there. Maybe they actually took this in a different realm, but it looks like male bone structure. The shoulders, the low body fat. Where are the breasts? Male face, right? That looks like Adam Ant or something. It looks like an androgynous rock star, right? It looks like one of these transvestite rock stars from the glam rock era. So we're almost halfway done with all the first ladies. So who are these people? Where do they come from? I don't think they're Caucasian or white or whatever. I don't know if you can even use those words anymore or what they even mean. Probably related to the European royal families, right? So I can't claim to know exactly where they're from, but I don't think they're from around here. Some people will call them the seed of the serpent. Now, I don't know if that's literal or spiritual. Either way, they are the seed of the serpent. So, another little history lesson that they didn't teach you in school. I remember I used to have flashcards, and I memorized all the presidents of the United States when I was a little kid, like 5 years old. I don't know if they have First Lady flashcards. I don't think they were part of the whole thing. It was just the presidents. They forgot to mention that all the women were dudes and all the presidents were married to men. They didn't tell us that the fallen angels rule over the government and the government serves the fallen angels. They don't serve us, although they do serve us on a platter once in a while. They failed to mention that everything we see is a lie, for we do not wrestle against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, the archons, right, the archos, against the authorities, against the cosmic powers, cosmokratoros, the cosmocrators. All right, we're wrestling against the cosmocrators, the cosmic powers, over this present darkness, against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly places.